engineering excellence, uncompromised integrity, continuous improvement. From life science instruments to connected health devices, creating the future of medical technology right out of Bedford, New Hampshire. This is Sunrise Labs. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Careers Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Litwin, the voice of B2B. Today, we're highlighting the open positions of software architect and embedded software engineer at Sunrise Labs, a company propelling the future of medical technology into the future with a team of passionate, creative, and experienced professionals. Though these are two different positions, they work hand in hand in delivering quality MedTech to market. The software architect would be tasked with architecting, leading, and developing medical device software, including embedded software. They'll lead a software development team, provide project direction using agile development methods, and write detailed software design descriptions. As for the embedded software engineer, they're tasked with leading the company forward into new product markets, bringing deep C or C++ skills, Linux applications experience, wireless protocol experience, and an overall desire to create cutting-edge products to the table. To dig into the positions, we're speaking with Jim Turner, Director of Software Development, and Mike Goulet, Program Manager and Software Technical Lead at Sunrise Labs. Let's hear more from Jim and Mike themselves. Welcome to the podcast, both of you. Great to have you on.
Thank you very much. This is Jim.
Hey, this is Mike. Thank you very much.
So we could go through the basics of the position, but we're better off flying through those because honestly, who wants to hear the same old stats from the website? So we're going to be doing an interview in 30 seconds to get through those basics. Jim, Mike, are you both ready?
Yes.
Indeed.
Let's do it. All right, the clock is ticking. And location?
Bedford, New Hampshire.
Hours?
Flexible, generally 8 to 5, but some people come in early, some people come in later.
40 hours a week.
Days of the week?
5.
Travel involved?
Local travel, potentially once a week, but it depends on the project.
How many years of experience?
For the architect position, we're looking for someone with over 10.
For embedded, we're looking for 5+ years experience.
How about educational requirement?
A degree in software engineering. Electrical engineering for embedded also works.
And how about career path expectations?
We were both developers, and I've moved on to director, and Mike now is a program manager. So there's a lot of career path here.
All right, love it. Efficient, great stuff. All right, Jim, Mike, so after looking into the position, what feels like hands down the coolest part of it, at least to me, is the array of varied product that these software architects and engineers are going to be working on. So what kind of industry-affecting devices are they going to have a hand in crafting?
I'd say we have a very broad number of devices and products that we've worked on. One thing to be clear is Sunrise does not generally produce. We don't do our own product development. Sunrise Labs doesn't make products, but we work with other customers to make products. Those products have a huge variety, ranging from wearable devices to various mobile apps, all kinds of handheld things, all the way up to infusion pumps and safety critical devices where patient safety is really, really critical.
Some of the devices we've worked on in the past is insulin pumps, some type of implantable devices. We've worked on devices that are robotic assist surgical, and we've worked, and Mike talked about infusion pumps, and then some other pumps that are in part of your overall health improvement. Then we've also worked on some desktop applications as well, or I should say laboratory equipment, in order to measure different specific molecules within the body. So wide range, as Mike said.
And most notably, or also notably, a lot of robotics, a lot of motion controls. So some folks find that stuff really interesting. We definitely have done quite a few robotic projects as well.
And why are these devices so important to the industry? How are they changing healthcare as a whole?
Healthcare has been working with medical devices for a really long time. What's happening in the healthcare market is we had in the 80s and 90s, 2000, this real infusion of these applications. What we're able to do now is actually fine tune them and offer better life experiences for the clients or patients who are really working, needing these devices. It's changing. Information is being available that was never available before. And a lot of patients are able to now go home rather than using some of these devices in a hospital or a clinic.
So, more on the company itself. I asked you in a pre-interview survey what your brand would be if it was a band. You gave a pretty unexpected answer, honestly. Hamilton the Musical. Pleasant surprise for me. So what about this historical, rap-driven show speaks to Sunrise's mission and core values?
So when I think about the musical Hamilton, the man, Alexander Hamilton, was very a complex, intelligent person. I mean, his life is amazing. And at the start of our country, we had these arguments of, is it states' rights or is it the country that has to decide? And they argued the points of a complex organization and came up with these amazing documents. What we do here at Sunrise is actually take complex ideas and turn them into products. And no, it's not on the scale of Hamilton and Jefferson having these arguments, but we do have arguments about what's the best way to organize a product, what's the best technologies, how are we going to deliver the product that the patients need, that the companies who are coming to us are asking us to develop. So, and Mike, chime in. This is the most honest company I've ever worked for, and the people, their attitude towards one another is just amazing. We're very, very kind to one another. But we also recognize that we need to be professional and get the job done.
Yeah. Once a month, our CEO gathers with all the employees and contractors, for that matter, who work at the company, and gives a report of how the business is doing. And one of those things he does is he explains how assumption of positive intent. It sounds really simple, or maybe not that noteworthy, but it really is something else. We've all worked at companies where assumption of positive intent was not the case. And here it definitely is. We work for it or towards that. And of course, it doesn't always happen. But my first company meeting here at Sunrise a couple of years ago, I was just kind of surprised by that. I've never heard the CEO, the president go, you know what? Assume your coworkers are making a good decision, or your customers or vendors. And it's really interesting. I think that's really valuable.
I love that. So beyond the deep technical knowledge needed to ace these positions, there are other more personality-driven traits that you're also looking for in the ideal candidate. These include flexibility with a solid aptitude and the ability to take being pushed beyond a comfort zone. But the simplest and the one that caught my eye the most was just curiosity. Why do these employees need to have a penchant for curiosity, and how will that help them succeed at Sunrise Labs?
I think if an engineer isn't curious about the technology or the problem that they're trying to solve or work on, they can't be creative. I think curiosity is the seed of creativity, which is the basis of all the things we look for in a good architecture or a good design. Curiosity is just the beginning of, to me, the entire development cycle. That's how I learned all what I learned. Is I was curious about certain technology. I was curious how motor controllers worked, so that's what I got into. It's just the base of development to me.
And what Mike said was awesome. I agree entirely. Technologies also come in different forms. There are other people who are really intent on curiosity. They blend their software-driven capabilities in with the mechanical or the electrical. Or sometimes we're in the medical space, so even physiology. How does diabetes really work? What does insulin do? Most people don't even ask that question, but when you have a diabetes pump and you're trying to get insulin into a person, what does that, milligrams per milliliter, I should say. That's we all know chemistry, but what does that really mean? So understanding these little things like what's a unit? in this measurement for this device? What does that mean? You have to start asking a lot of different questions. We're going to deal with diseases we know nothing about.
Or we've got people that are curious about cybersecurity. And I mean, we have, in my opinion, some of the best cybersecurity folks here. And that's because they have a natural curiosity to understand, what does cybersecurity mean? Or machine learning is another one. There are folks running around doing little experiments with machine learning and TensorFlow. And that's all based on curiosity. And it's the basis of our value, I think. It makes us different from just any other company.
Well, Jim, Mike, I appreciate your time giving more insight on these positions of software architect and embedded software engineer. And to wrap things up, I'd like to get a little more insight on the interview process itself. So what's something interviewees should be excited about for the interview process, and what's something that might intimidate them?
What would excite them and intimidate them for me is the same thing, and that's the whiteboard. If a candidate is extremely nervous and not comfortable standing up, they may or may not be a good candidate here, because they're going to be challenged throughout their career at Sunrise. But it's also exciting. I remember my first whiteboard interview. I actually had a lot of fun having people throw questions at me. I walked out of there inspired to want to be part of that organization.
I think when folks interview here, of course, it depends on who's doing the interviews. You get different people with different approaches. But one of the things that, to me, I think would excite people is the energy here. And again, that sort of notion of our culture, that positive intent. We have a very positive culture here. And I think people come here and they'll see that. I think folks that come through here and interview with us, we have a very good, whatever. A lot of people end up working here as long as we like them, and they seem to like us very often. Intimidating, I would say, is you'll probably get interviewed by a group, and it can be intimidating that way, but we like to do it that way. So,
and we also are kind through the interview. If someone doesn't know the answer, we're not actually looking for the answer. We're actually looking for their thought process. That's the more important piece there, which goes back to the curiosity.
I learned about machine learning in one interview.
So, and then the interview process starts with a phone screen to make sure that it's, because I've interviewed people and the phone screen didn't go so well, so I wouldn't bring them in. But if the phone screen goes well, I then bring them in for a formal interview. And then once we do have people here, if they accept the offer and we offer them a job, we have a whole host of onboarding and other process to help them feel comfortable.
Well, Jim, Mike, thank you both so much for joining me on this Careers podcast. If you're listening and you'd like to apply for these two positions, you can head to sunriselabs.com and click on their About Us tab. Jim, Mike, thanks for joining us. Good luck with the hiring process, and I'm looking forward to seeing who you bring onto the team.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
To find out more about some of the best openings in your industry, head to marketscale.com/industries. And you can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'm your host, Daniel Litwin, the voice of B2B. Till next time.